Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to a special episode of Kulluna Tuhaf. Today I have a very, very special guest with me, of course, for a very special episode. And I'm just going to allow him to introduce himself and like what you do, pretty much.
Right, okay, special guest. Okay. My name is Mohammed Sultan. I'm the man behind Vintage Libya and a man behind North Africa. But obviously that's a bit on a down low right now. But yeah, that's me. That's the person behind Vintage Libya.
A tribe called Mo, the legend himself.
And a tribe called Mo, yeah, true. A tribe called Mo. Follow that. Follow your tribe called Mo, please, I beg.
So from what I've heard from a lot of people is that you've started to do research on the history of Libya and the culture of Libya. Like, شن خلاك تدير هذا? Like, what inspired you to do all of that?
Where should I begin with this? It's a mix of everything, you know. Like to be 100 with you, basically back in the day, like when we were growing up, like obviously we knew we're Libyan and we knew everything, who we are, our identity, our culture, etc. But like there came a time when you get lost a little bit. You don't know who you are really, like fully like that. And a man was going through it, had a little identity crisis. And then and then obviously sometimes you just want to reconnect to your culture, understand your culture more. And I always felt like there was so much missing from our culture that we didn't know. I feel like our culture, when you speak about Libya, just politics. And it's just
ما فيش history لا culture لا في أي حاجة. بالذات احنا اللي عايشين برا صعب أن like to find out like we obviously know إن احنا ليبيين لكن صعب أن like you know who you actually are because أنت عايش برا أنت ليبي أنت كندي أنت بريطاني أنت تخلط عليك المجموعتين.
Exactly. You're kind of lost between the UK, Libya. Like you're trying to figure out who you are in it. But I guess at the end of the day, just leave it how it is and just try and find your way. You'll find it. I guess.
Yeah.
But how I found out, like how not say I found out, but it's one of them. I wanted to understand Libyan history more, and I always felt like there's so much missing. And it's always you talk about Libya, you have to mention a figure or you have to mention a certain head. Like we're more than that. Libya's way more than that. You get me? Libya's history upon history. You get me? So, so I was like, I always felt like our history began Italian colonization. That's why I always had that vibe. It's like Omar Mukhtar, Malik Idris, then Gaddafi, and then revolution, and that's our history. I have always felt like this. Is that it?
نفسك بالضبط.
Isn't there more?
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. Like, because I feel like it's because of what we learn. Like, obviously, ما كنا صغيرين. Like أمي وأبوي يحطوا لي فيلم أسد الصحراء متاع عمر مختار أنتوني كوين. يقول لي هذا تاريخنا تفرج عليه.
And there's problems within that movie as well.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. There's problems within that movie as well. Like even our history, not to try to say everything in our history is all or the facts are wrong or whatever, or it's all lies. But there's certain things that are shown to us that are not really how it really was at the time. There's so much within our history that's been changed. You know what I mean? And Omar Mukhtar is one of them. Like within that movie, people who know their history and people who, especially the older generation, they will tell you that there's so much of it that's false because of political reasons as well.
ولازم يزودوها for Hollywood reasons.
Yeah, exactly. They have to. Like there's no recognition of the Son of Sia, and when they do recognize the Son of Sia, they paint them as these traitors who went and left Omar Mukhtar and told them, "Ciao, we're going to Egypt to go chill." Like the way they paint it to the Libyans, and then Libyans have that thing where they, for like 30 years or whatever, they know their history through this movie, which we all did. And you think, oh, El Ghoriani is a pagan, this guy left Omar Mukhtar, and then that's it, they just stuck with you, you know what I mean? It's crazy, I'm telling you.
فأنت بديت فأنت you went and like you did like from all those like identity crisis problems وبعدين did your own research. بعدين شو لقيت؟
So I went through the research, I just realized how deep our history is and how diverse our country is too. Libya is our coast is the longest coast in the Mediterranean. That's one thing. That was the first thing I found out. I was like, no way, is that what you know what I mean? And our we're just a mix of everything. Arabs, Amazigh, Tebu, Tawarik, and people who Aslam in Andalus, people Aslam in Turkish. Like, it's just a mix. The country is
Yeah,
a mix. And you can't just put it into one label or just label it as an Arab country or label it as this or label it as that. Libya's Libya. Libya's more than anyone could ever imagine, in it. So
I feel like that's with the North African countries in general. They always label us as
yeah,
they always label us as Arabs, when in reality, في like بالذات from like speaking Egypt بروحها, لكن from
yeah,
المغرب, from Mauritania all the way to Libya,
yeah,
تجمعها متخلطين من جميع أنواع وأشكال. You have
exactly.
different colors, different races, different everything, you know, different languages. Like أمازيغي في اليمين في الغرب different than أمازيغي في الشرق, في النورth different than
Yeah,
the south, you know,
yeah. Dialects are different,
culture
accents
is
are
different.
different, words are different, diverse culture as well. There's certain
Yeah.
things that people do in the East that the South doesn't do. And there's stuff that people do and do in the West that you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
such a diverse country. And there's so much to learn. I'm telling you, to this day, I'm still learning. Every day I'm learning something new. Like, to think I might have vintage Libya on this page, I'm halas like, okay, that's it. This is the book. I've learned everything. I'm good now. Now it's my turn to teach Libyans about their history. No, it's not like that at all. If anything, I'm learning along the way with everyone else. You know what I mean? And that's how it feels like. It's crazy. That's why every day I buy a new book, I read something new, I read a new article, and it's just, you just realize sometimes it gets it gets overwhelming at times. You just think, wow, like, this is all our history and culture. See, Trablus itself and its history is crazy. It's crazy.
There's so much inspiration from everywhere. That's the thing. Like
Yeah,
Trablus dates back to ancient Greece, like
yeah, yeah.
Tripolitania. Like
Rome, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah,
it goes way back. Hatta
yeah,
ancient Italy. Like there's so much in depth that, like, the thing is with vintage Libya, what you did is انت
yeah,
خليت, you took the first steps وبعدين جماعة بدو like inspired by you. فهمت كيف؟ Like
yeah,
look
yeah.
at the shoe. I recently posted the shoes. We'll talk about that later, but the shoes someone
Okay.
donated to you because, like, look,
Oh,
you've
yeah.
inspired, you've changed the entire vision of what
I'm
how
telling
people
you, my
see
brother.
us.
Yeah, I'm telling you, my brother, subhanAllah, like, sometimes I think about this page and I say to myself, yeah, it's just a page that I like and it's something that I do as a hobby and something that I love, innit? But then I realized that the impact it has is way bigger than me. Because people DM me every day, like, oh, how did you buy this book? Where can I buy it? Like, people started to realize that you can buy vintage Libyan stuff online, you can collect old books, you can read online about our history. And it's just getting people more interested into the details of our culture. What's been missing? What's this that we don't know? Let's revive this. Let's bring this back. You know what I mean? So that's the best thing about it. Even like people, they'll be doing like shoots. Inspired by vintage Libya. There's this girl, I think she's based in America, US, or Canada. She did this shoot and she was like, oh, I wanted to use one of your posts because it inspired me to do this shoot with this girl. It went viral, if anything. And just seeing all these things, it just motivates me, keeps me going.
What
Yeah.
was the first topic like that you researched? Was it traditional clothing or what was it?
Do you know what it
تتفكر؟
is? I'd say the first thing I actually researched was I began with Italian colonization. And I remember doing this thread time ago, this is ages ago. I did this thread about the deportees, the Libyan deportees that they sent to the Italian penal colonies,
Right.
these islands. And I never knew this. I was like, how, like, no one told us about this. No one taught us this. How does no one know about this? Like, Libyans, thousands of Libyans were sent to these islands and died there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These fighters, mujahideen, and there's prisons on the island of I believe even on Sicily, by the way.
Yeah.
Women were sent there and died there in prisons. Shuyukh Qaba'il were sent there and died there. Sunusi heads were sent there and died there. You know what I mean? There's like mass graves over there. And I don't see a documentary. I don't see hardly any books about it, hardly any research about it. There's one or two books about it. And the books that you do find, it's an Italian book and it's been whitewashing the whole history. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's mad. Our history, there's so much to uncover. There's so much research that we should be doing. And I feel like people are doing it. I'm not gonna lie, there are people that are doing it more, especially now. But yeah, it began with Italian colonization and the crimes that took place under the Italian rule. That's where it started. And then I started venturing out. I started going past Italian colonization, going to the Ottoman period, the Caramelli period, which loads of the stuff within the Medina Qadima to this day stand is during the Caramelli period, which is when Brabus and Libya started to actually boom then. But there's so much, even like during when the Spaniards took over as well of Tripoli and the massacre that took place in Tripoli and the siege in Tripoli when the Ottomans tried to free Tripoli from the Knights of what are they called? The Knights of Rhodes. But yeah, I'm telling you, there's so much history, so much. And then nowadays, I feel like I'm more like I'm still interested in the history, but I feel like I've been more into the culture as well. So our clothing, our jewelry, our silver, all these things.
So is when you started to research about clothing, is that what inspired your like North Africa?
To be honest, with North Africa, that began. It was just an interest because it started off with like Shabir that I saw my boy wear, and I was telling him, "Oh, I want one of those. I want to rock it." And it was the time when I was people were trying to show their culture in it, trying to show where you're from, but
you're trying to flex a little bit.
Yeah, you're trying to flex a little bit. We don't want to be getting them up with a t-shirt slapped in the middle, Libyan flag. You don't want to do that. So no, ain't that deep. I ain't trying to force Libyan down your throat like that. But yeah, I was very interested in the Shabir from day. Like, yeah, I used to see my cousins back home wear it as well. So I was like, oh man, I need to get me one of these. And then I bought one. I got one. My boy went to Masrata, innit? My boy, Ibsdeb, shout out to Ibsdeb. He went and bought me when he came back from Masrata and he got me. I'm telling you, I wore it every day at uni, yeah. And every man just stopped me. Where do you get this from? Where do you buy this? People that weren't even North African were interested. Like, where do you get this from? This is nice. That's when I thought to myself, you know what? There's actual demand and there's actual people that are willing to buy this and want to know more about this. So that's where it started. It popped off from there. But right now, it's gone quiet. Obviously, we're working behind the scenes. We're doing things. We're trying to come back bigger and better, inshallah. But yeah, that's what inspired it, to be honest. And it's just like you said as well, it's from our culture. The thing is right now, how I'm trying to do it more is Libyan culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to bring little details within our culture and bring it through North Africa. So there's loads of little details I'm trying to put out there, which you guys, you will see soon. You will see soon. So yeah, inshallah. But yeah, it's all this vintage Libya and North Africa. I'm trying to connect them to. I'm trying to bring them together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing that's trying to happen right now.
You're two different ventures on opposite sides, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I have a lot of people. Like when I was like, I told people I was like, inshallah, like on Friday I'm recording with Mohammed, like we're doing the episode, and they're like, لو سمحت, please قول له يرجع لي نورث افريقيا, نبو الخشبيات يرجعهم لو سمحت.
Yo, I appreciate the love, you know. Shout out to all of them, by the way. Because more time I thought to myself, you know what, people forgot about me. They probably thought, oh, this wash to get him. So I forgot about this. I was like, oh, whatever, man. No, I'm glad there's still people remembering, man. And hopefully we'll come back better. For the people who know, yeah. For the people who know, used to buy them. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I used to sell flipping Shabias, yeah, and put them in flipping black bin bags. I used to send them off. I am cheeky for that, by the way. My packaging was 0. Not even 0, -5, bro. That packaging was disgusting. You know what I mean? I apologize. We're coming bigger and better, hopefully.
Inshallah.
The packaging will be better. Trust me, you're gonna get a card and stuff. You're gonna love it.
Talk a little bit about the history of traditional clothing, because I feel like you've done. Like at one point, I remember you doing a thread on the differences between the different Dali Arabiyat and things like that. So what research have you done on that? Like, can you speak about it a little bit?
Yeah, so I'll tell you about that. So basically what happened, yeah, I was on Facebook, and you know, if you ever go on my Facebook, yeah, I swear to God, it's all old Libyan geezers. All of them old Libyan men. Wallahi, all of them old Libyan men. I swear to God, that's the only people I friend. And they're all Libyan family. فتلاقة يفهم في اللبس فهمتني، يفهم في الكاطو، يفهم في الجبة، ويفهم في شنطة، ويفهم فهمتني، يفهم في البسكل وين يطيح، يفهم في
Yeah.
المعرقة، ويفهم جو. أنا نكسر معاهم ندير في الجو نهدز معاهم فهمتني، اللي من بنغازي، اللي من طرابلس، اللي جايني من سبعة، اللي من مصراتة، كل واحد ولبسه فهمتني، كل واحد
Yeah.
وجردة، وكل واحد فهمتني جو.
Yeah.
سو نكسر معاهم ندير في الهدرز معاهم. في واحد سنوسي، there's one guy سنوسي from بنغازي، لبسته يلبس فيها تعرف crazy, comes with these colors, yeah, and a 10 out of 10. Everything he wears, this guy's my inspo, by the way. If people think I'm wearing the stuff, one like old men on Facebook that I'm getting my inspiration from. So there's this old Libyan guy. And he's on Facebook, and he's on Zawaya Trabisiya, and this guy's going on a rant. Okay, you know how they do the national what's it called, the national Libyan dress day, which is, I think it's in January or Feb, I'm not sure. And basically, he was going on a rant. He was like, man, I don't He was going on a mad one. I'm thinking, why is this guy going crazy? That guy turned out to be a maker from back in the day. He used to make from back in the day when they used to make them. They still do, some of them still do, but that was back in the day when it popped it. And he knows every nagsha and every material and how everything should look like. And I was asking him questions and telling him, oh, how do I know the difference between this? What's this called? What's that called? This man was a
pioneer.
Oh my God, this guy, the knowledge he had was unbelievable. I was just taking notes, learning from him. And there's like, he was telling me how like the ones that you see today, so the ones that you see most men wearing today, unfortunately, yeah, they're all made in Egypt. Okay.
Yeah. Wala Tunis.
Yeah. La Tunis, we don't even get made in Tunis, to be honest. You know?
Really?
Wallahi, the only two places that really make up ramen, or the whole bedla, is Egypt, the Skandaria to be exact, yeah, and China. China. I'm telling you, my bro, China are making our stuff, bro. It is so peak and sad. I'm telling you. And the thing is, the Chinese ones, you can just tell off the bat it's Chinese. Straight off, you just look at it, you think, yeah, that's Chinese. You can tell. Trust me, when you start looking into the details, you'll start realizing. So anyway, the Egypt one is the most common one that we have right now. And what it is, when you look at the farm, the basic farm that we have nowadays, it's within the chest area. مدورة تدوير فهمتني، مدورة النقشة. هي أصلا مش مدورة، هي مش شكلها هيك فهمتني، هي شكلها شنو مربع تربيع، يسموا فيها فرمة الصناديق. That's its actual name. And ever since artisans and our makers started decreasing, craftsmanship started decreasing in Libya, it started getting sent off to Egypt. And Egypt, labor there and thinking is much cheaper than Libya, and materials are cheaper. So everything started getting made over there, but it lost that touch. I'd rather pay more for something that's made by Libyan hands, handmade, than made in Egypt. Why not support our own people back home in Libya? Why don't we support the makers back home in Libya and realize the difference? Even what you're wearing, you need to realize that what you're wearing is actually Libyan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You should take pride in that. That's something important too. You know what I mean? But
are they made in Egypt? Are they made by hand, or is it makina?
So basically, some of them are made by hand, yeah, but majority are made by makina. Majority. يقول لك نص ماكينة نص يد وكلام فارغ. All that is gas, by the way. If it's not made full yet, it's not the one, I'm telling you. There is, I'm not gonna lie to you, there is some place, there's this place called Yaqut, and it's in Iskandaria. This place is OG, by the way. That's one place I can tell you. In Egypt, that was 10 out of 10, because Malik Idris, Sidi Idris back in the day, he used to get made there. That's where he used to get his deli, handmade, fully there. That's one of the few places. But the majority right now, the Souk al-Magharba, I think it's called in Skandaria, they all make them machine made or half. And النقشة كلها, it looks bad. And حتى في حاجة يسموا فيها الزمان, it used to be on where around the neck. There's this thing called the Nawara, I believe it's called. Nawara, I believe, yeah. That used to be a part of the farm. Nowadays, you don't see it no more. But old Trabilsi or old Libyan in general, farming used to have it. Nowadays, they don't. وعندك الفرم, what's this one? I think there was another one called قصاط الوسط, I believe. There's one اسمه نقشة الساعات. You see, the نقشة الساعات one, that was famous in the Sharq. You know what I mean? There's even a difference between the East and West farmland and Zboon. There's a difference. You know what I mean? The neksha, how where it reaches to the elbow, all of these things, there's differences. You know what I mean? That's how you realize that even in our farming, there's diversity. It's crazy. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Is there a reason behind the differences between the شرق and the غرب ولا is it just because الشعوب مختلفة والناس اللي
It just
حواليهم
I feel like it just comes down to fashion and taste. It just
right
becomes what became fashionable for a city, and it just spread around across the whole the surrounding cities too in that area.
right
Like for instance, الشن الحمراء
Mhm.
or the كابوس الأسود
yeah
اللي يلبسوا في طرابلس وفي الغرب in general. That back in the day, we all used to wear the red one. We all used to wear the red one. This is before the 50s and 60s. They did a black one, and it just became a little thing that people
a
started
staple
wearing in staple in Travis, and it just became a fashionable thing to wear. And everyone started wearing it. You know what I mean? It's just fashion and trends at the end of the day. But
بدأت
yeah,
الناس يجوا من جميع like طرابلس العاصمة you know like I feel
yes,
like there's way more ناس يتخلطوا في
yeah,
طرابلس than there is in Benghazi for example
yeah, yeah, yeah. To be honest as well, wallahi, to be honest, even in Benghazi, if you really, really know Benghazi, like there's a mix in Benghazi.
there is
Benghazi, تعرف حتى Benghazi, let's keep it 100%, yeah. Benghazi, though, like if you go 500 years, that's when it really تأسست Benghazi. And most of the families that تأسسوا Benghazi أصلا من مصراتها.
yeah
You know what I mean? And loads of the شوارع في Benghazi وزناقي في Benghazi are named after big families that أصلا من الصعيد.
yeah
هم بناغزة في النهاية بكر. احنا في Benghazi ما عندناش الجو تاع هذا اصلا هيك it's a مدينه it's a mix تلقى الهوني تلقى طرابلسي تلقى الجبالي تلقى
right
all the different type of families that are from everywhere. But if we're talking about Trablus, yes, Trablus is much more. It's the capital at the end of the day. And even when it comes to craftsmanship, it's the capital of that.
there's
Even
also
when
a
it comes to
جانب there
silver, everything. Yeah, حتى جانب صح.
yeah like there's business there's I feel like compared to Benghazi there like most of the because it's the عاصمة
Yeah,
there's more like شركات أجنبية في الشركات
yeah, لا هذه
الصينية
صح.
والإنجليزية you
Yeah.
know
لا صح
the
صح.
the inspiration comes from all over
ايوه حتى من يومها طرابلس as well has always been a mix.
right
عندك الناس اصلا مالطيه الناس اللي اصلا من جريس and they've been
لاينة
there. وعندك الإيطاليان as well.
yeah
راك الإيطاليان كانوا في ليبيا قبل حتى الاحتلال راك.
yeah
Before 1911 there was Italian families that used to live in Trablus.
yeah
And these things go back from day. Like if you want to look at Libya is so diverse, and it's been diverse for centuries. Jews have been living there for centuries.
yeah
And you see, we're going to talk about craftsmanship going back to farming, etc. The people used to hold most of that were actually Jewish craftsmen,
yeah
Jewish artisans, isn't it? That was
yeah
the majority of the people used to hold that. But, yeah.
there's a lot of like a history within like one that I've started to learn more about like I'm trying to learn more about is the Libyan
Yeah.
Jewish community like a lot of our foods um
Yeah.
like you said the الخياطين كانوا ليبيين يهود في
Yeah.
ليبيا
Yeah. It was a mix in it, but yeah, there
right
was a lot of them were Jewish as well. Yeah.
yeah that's something like I feel like we don't know a lot about
Even with the food, just like you said with the food, like harami.
yeah
That's originally a Libyan Jewish food, a dish. You know what I mean? People even say shakshuka too. There's
yeah
so many things. We have this thing that my dad makes. Yeah, my dad makes this all the time. My dad's always, you know what it is? Yeah, when my dad's bored and like, oh, when he's tired or whatever, he has these times, but it's so rare and I love it. He starts talking to me about Libya back in the day. Stories from his grandma. I swear. How he makes this thing. You get a my grandma used to make it back in the day. Oh, هذه أصلا إحنا توجير درنا هنا. أصلا من درنا. So عندي جدتي أصلا من درنا, and she used to make this thing called torshi. It sounds weird, I know. But it's this it's this like pumpkin spice harissa with olive oil. It's a little side thing. And my dad used to tell me how his mum used to make it all the time, and my dad makes it 10 out of 10. And he was telling me the story of it and how they got it from their neighbors, their Jewish neighbors in Derna, from Medina Padina. And you realize like even these little things, Muslim, Jewish, Libyan.
yeah
You think to yourself, all this diversity that was around us, and we don't even know. Like you start learning, you think, wow, so this is originally from there, and this is originally from there. But at the end of the day, it's all Libyan. You know what I mean? It's Libyan.
yeah
That's the best thing about it. It's all Libyan at the end of the day, because they all make up what Libyan is.
حتى لما نقعمز مع like مع ابوي يحكي لي على المدينه القديمه because جدي كان
Yeah.
شيخ يصلي بيهم. Like he used to do خطبة جمعة في جامع الناقة in Trablus في
Oh,
المدينة
mashallah.
القديمة. My
Yeah.
dad would tell me all the stories, and like my grandfather, Allah yarhamah, like I never got to hear the stories from him because he was sick. But the stories that he's
Yeah.
passed down to my dad, I've heard them, and even from my grandfather, from my mom's side, I've heard a lot of stories about the trading and like peak Libya before
The
69.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
before the stuff.
yeah, before 69.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's so much depth within Libya that
yeah.
we don't see.
I'm telling you one thing, bro. Like, I'm gonna tell you, do this next time when you speak to your dad. And this is something I've started to do. Um, shout out to Middle East Mehdi, bro. He's he's a motivation. If you know who Middle East Mehdi is, yeah, this man, mashallah alayhi, this guy, he's based in Canada, and he's from Yifrin. This man, he has a museum under his house. The stuff he has is unbelievable. Anyway, he motivated me when he was saying how Allah Yarhamah, his father passed away, and he used to tell him so many stories from back in the day. And he used to put his phone on the side without his dad really noticing. You want it to be a natural conversation, and he records his dad telling stories of back in the day. And I feel like when he told that, every time my dad says something or my mum says something about back in the day, I record them. You know what I mean? Because I feel like these things are so important. Because we, us Libyans, we don't write down our history. It's
Yeah,
been like that for decades. It's
and that's
just
how we
part of
lose
Libyan
it.
culture. Yeah, we just pass it down orally. So yeah, so I just started recording them. But I think you should definitely do that when your dad speaks about your grandfather
I need
or
to
his
start doing that
family. Yeah,
because
trust me.
like my grandfather has stories on about his grandfathers. Like my grandfather's grandfather كان جماعة مصرات بتاع الحصن, like
Yeah,
you know
for the see it.
بالضبط, like
Yeah,
شو اسمه والجرد, you know, like جماعة
this
هذيك كان
fish
like
there, man.
ما فيش لعب, like كان وعى. And he tells us
Yeah,
stories like of him and things like that, and it's just like like we can only hear it orally, you know, like ما فيش حاجة
yeah,
مكتوبة, and it's kind of
yeah,
a little sad, you know, because there's
yeah.
so much to learn.
That's why it's so hard. Wallahi, this goes back to the point of why I feel like with us Libyans, compared to our neighbors, yeah, so much of our history, like, even when you want to just search on Google, like, oh, Libyan history.co.uk, nothing comes up. Like,
Yeah,
hardly anything comes up. And if something comes up, it'll be like, post 69 to 2011. That's it. Or after 2011. Like, that's the only thing that it's all
it's,
about
yeah,
politics as well.
literally
So,
literally everything,
yeah,
because there's a Libyan history, like Emil is doing history
yeah.
on
Yeah, shout out to Emma, bro. She's a real one, you know.
real,
Mashallah, that
mashallah
girl,
عليها,
the knowledge she has, the
she's
knowledge
doing
she has,
history from
mashallah.
1100, I believe, AD to
Yeah.
1600, and like most of the history is not even Libya, it's the MENA region, pretty much
Wow.
Mediterranean
Wow.
region.
Yeah.
And like even when I go on Google and search it up, like just to like look for things, like it's most of the history that's on Libya
Yeah.
from that era is just like calligraphy
Hardly.
and things like that. There's hardly
Yeah, there's
anything that actually
hardly
talks about
anything.
history.
Yeah. The only time you hear past 1000 AD is like, oh, the invasion of Ben Hillel, Ben Salim. That's the only two things that you hear. That's it. But after that, it's like, yeah, Libya just kept it stepping. I
Yeah,
swear to God. But for her to go in-depth research on that, inshallah,
yeah,
hopefully, like, inshallah, I hope she succeeds in that, and I know she will. Inshallah.
inshallah. Uh, what about? Can you talk about like your repossession of Libyan jewelry, like how like and what you've learned pretty much from doing that?
Do you know how I started that? Yeah. Um, Basically, I was speaking to this old woman, okay, and I saw this collection of Libyan silver, Libyan jewelry, and I had a question I asked about the jewelry, and I said to her, "Oh, where do you get this from?" And then she goes, "Oh, this is my personal collection." I was like, "What?" I said, "Personal collection." She had it on in display and everything. And I was like, "What?" I started getting mad interested. I was thinking, "Yo, what's this?" And she did an event. It's like a couple years back, and she did it in London. She did a whole display of like old postcards, old pictures of Libyan women wearing the silver and their clothing, and she displayed all these like very rare items of silver. Um, and it took place in London. I wish I went. Well, I regret to this day for not going. And I think that's where it kicked off. It kicked off there, and then I started becoming so interested in Libyan jewelry. And it was a learning process. Like, I'll be in there learning and understanding Libyan jewelry while I'm buying it. Sometimes, like, even when I first started, I bought something that was wrong. Like, I bought something that didn't have a stamp. So every Libyan jewelry, like when you get into this, because I know those are people ask me that. They always say to me, "How can I get into this Libyan jewelry thing?" So one thing that you always need to keep an eye out when you're buying Libyan jewelry is the hallmark. So what is a hallmark? A hallmark is basically a stamp. Like, there's Libyan jewelry, it won't leave the Medina Qadima unless it's been stamped, verifying that it's over 800 or 900 silver. The content of the silvers is 800 or 900 or above.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a verification of the quality, the silver, everything. And the stamp is usually which is the logo of Tripoli. It's a ship, and it's a Najma with Hilal on top. We see that changes. Sometimes that changes. And it's like some plant motifs as well around the side. But sometimes that changes. Sometimes it's a crown on top. And that tells you it was made during the Italian period. Like, each hallmark tells you even the date when it was made, by the way. So you can date back a jewelry piece and be like, okay, looking at this was made between 1945 to 1970. Looking at this is made between 1915 to 1940. I'm telling you, like, when you realize how deep it is, you stop finding yourself going down a hole that there's no end to it. It's crazy. I'm telling you, my money's getting blown on this stuff. My money's going broke. You know, I'm trying to do traders. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do this. I swear, man, I don't know how I'm gonna raise a family in that. I swear to God. I swear.
Where do you even find them? Like, is it on eBay or is it like, do you Facebook or?
My brother, sleepless nights. You know what it is when you have a passion for something, yeah? You don't even care how you look. You don't even care if you're not sleeping. You're just spending so much time online.
نص ساعة عادي. Mohammed دير
اللي عادي. At least next week when I get that, عادي. Next week I'm gonna get the sleeping jewelry. I'm gonna be gassed. But wallahi, most of it is Etsy. I'm not gonna lie to you. The Etsy ones are a stretch. I swear, the Etsy one is a stretch. The Caucasian Donnies are actually violating because they're charging us ridiculous prices for our jewelry. £1,000 for my jewelry. Now my grandma, what? You're trying to charge me £1,000? This woman is out here living in I don't know, Canada or France. She's trying to charge me £1,000. Is she mad? I swear, I'm telling you, people here just trying to charge. That's what I'm saying. Like, Libyans back home, don't know what it is they're doing with our Libyan jewelry. They're melting it.
Why
Imagine that. Because no one's buying it. Because no one even rates Libyan silver anymore. Like, no one really cares for it. There's no demand for it. So
they just wear it for special occasions. More
time, even when they buy new ones, even the ones that people wear them, they're passed down from their grandparents. Okay. Or they buy them these new ones that they're getting made. But these old vintage ones, I swear, they sit down in trays upon trays and they just melt them. I went to Medina, but I went to Sultan, and I was talking to this guy and he saw me pick up a Salhai. He saw me pick it up and he was like, you know what that is, my brother? He looked at me, he was like, why is this? He's looking at me, thinking, why is this guy in a tracksuit? Yeah. He's looking bare Esmond and he's looking bare UK-ish. What's this brother holding this Libyan jewelry? What does he know about this? So I looked at him and I picked up and I said to him, يقول شنو عارفك؟ قلت له I looked at him بحثت فيه قلت له وراه هذه صالحة يسموا فيها كان يلبس فيها اسمها. يقول اسمي صار تعرف ما قريب ساعتين نحن ندرس دايخ فيا مش فاهم شيء. هذا كيف فاهم الدنيا ذي كلها.
UK Donny knowing jewelry.
Yeah, دايخ مش فاهم شيء. تعرف والله I went to Trablis in 2018, 2019 during the winter period. I swear to God, every day نمشي كعادي من نوف لين لين مدينة قديم by myself. Like, and I used to link up with African Ninja, Afro Fruits right now. My brother African Ninja. I used to go to Medina Qadim. We used to chill there, and I swear there's this guy called اسمه حميدة ولا حمادي اسمه. It's called Ahmed. He has a shop in سوق الصناعات, I believe, التقليدية. He has a shop there. I used to chill with him for hours every day. Wallah, I used to just chill with old men. I swear, you used to just see this guy in a tracksuit.
جماعة مربوعة.
Yeah, والله I'm chilling in the shops and بنهزوا عن الحاجات الليبية واللبس الليبي ولازم يردوا هذه وتعرف دوتهم. هدرسوا حتى about Libyan how diverse our country is, everything. You know what it is? Wallahi, as much as you might research things online, having actual genuine conversations with older generation Libyans is where it's at. The Libyans who know their stuff is the older generation Libyans. Have a conversation with them. You'll learn so much from them. Just sit down and listen. Just take it in. It's crazy. But
ما فيش قبة.
talking about, huh?
ما فيش قبة معاهم.
I wish I didn't invite me. But yeah, so that's how I started learning Libyan jewelry. So when I went to Trablus, that's when I was like, okay, let me get into this. I bought one piece, but it wasn't stamped. You get me? That was a mistake I did. I didn't check if it was stamped or not. And I came back and I showed it to this woman. When I took a picture of it, sent it to her.
Yeah.
This the woman I was speaking about, the older woman.
Yeah.
And she saw it. She goes to me, "Oh, it's not stamped, and it looks like it's made out of steel." That's when I was like, "Oh, okay." That was my lesson learned. And then from there, I just started like scoping it out. But going back to your question about like which platforms do I use? I feel like I'm blabbing on there. Is that me or? But yeah, so the platforms that I use is eBay. eBay's a good one. Let me
Really?
tell you about this. Oh, I've got bad stories for you. I just realized. Basically, I was on eBay and this woman was selling this Libyan jewelry, and I was so gassed, and she was selling it for such a cheap price. And I messaged her and I said to her, "What other Libyan jewelry do you have?" This woman lived in Libya during the 70s, early 70s, and she collected so much Libyan jewelry that she just wanted to sell it. And she sold it in the first lockdown, and she was selling them for cheap. She lives in Wales. Like, come on, bro. A white woman in Wales is selling our jewelry. I'm telling you, I beg you, just imagine that. You know that your neighbor right now is probably a white guy and he has something Libyan in his house. You wouldn't even know until one day he goes broke and he wants to start selling his stuff. I swear, it's crazy. So I told her, anything and everything you have, give it my way. I'm gonna buy it. And I bought a cuff bracelet. I bought these earrings. I bought a khlal. I bought khalkhal. So many things I bought from her. This necklace as well that I bought from her. Hwafar I bought from her. So many things. But yeah, just trust me. eBay, sit down on eBay for hours. Refine your research as well. Sometimes, you know what it is as well. Most of these ones I found, they're not even written down as Libyan. They put them down as Berber, Amazigh, North Africa, Tunisia, Morocco, Turkish, Ottoman, period, silver. It's like, no, it's Libyan, my bro. It's from Tripoli. You know what I mean? So I just find all the Libyan jewelry like that. They're just named under something else. But yeah, that's what I use. And there's this other one as well. There's this other app that I use called Katawiki. But that one's expensive. That one's for the big ballers, I'm not gonna lie. I swear to God, because when I first started on that one, it was people were selling Libyan jewelry and I was buying it and I bought a khlal from there. And it was cheap. So I bought it for like £20. £20. It's worth way more than that. I bought it for £20 and there was another piece as well with it. Yeah. But after that, all the other Libyan jewelry pieces that I found, it's mad expensive.
Where did you learn like the different names for it? Did you just like look in books ولا تعلم من حد أكبر منك ولا من المرأة اللي تتكلم عليها?
Yeah, the woman I was speaking to, man, I forgot her name, man. But this is a while back. But she used to tell me the names. And also there's مدرسة الصناعات التقليدية في طرابلس. They have a place where they teach kids to this day Libyan jewelry. And I used to always message the guy and tell him, "Oh, what's the name of this? What's the name of that?" I used to ask them so many questions. There's this other guy as well. It's called Ethnic Jewelry. It's a page on Facebook, and there used to be a forum on online. They made a page, and I'm telling you, it's just people sharing their collections. And there's this guy, Libyan guy. I think he lives in Austria. This man has a room. You know what do they call it? You know that? What do they call it? What's it called? Like a men's room. What do they call it? Not men's room. That sounds like a toilet. You know, like a game room. No, they really call it like a game room for men.
Yeah,
like,
a man cave.
Yeah, a man cave. That's what you might call it. Yeah, man cave. So this guy has a man cave, but it's all Libyan jewelry and old Libyan postcards. And the way he's displayed his things, I'm going to send you pictures later. It is crazy. I'm telling you, I sit down with him and I just send him pictures and I tell him, what does this mean? Where did you get this? What's this? I'm telling you, that's how you learn. You just ask people. And people are willing to share. If you ask the right people, some of them are willing to share with you. And then I take this information because I feel like, I shouldn't bottle this up and keep this information to myself. I should share this with everyone because if I'm learning something, everyone needs to learn this. Sometimes I learn something, I feel like I can't keep it in. I need to do a post. I need to share it on Vintage Libya. I have to. Like everyone needs to know this. But yeah.
You also started to. Did you research on Libyan architecture from what you've told me? So, what have you learned from that? Like, what have you seen the differences between the Sharq and the Gharb, or just Libyan buildings?
Yeah, so I did my research. I did a dissertation on Libyan architecture, and
so you did it in school.
No, I did it. I did it as my uni dissertation. Yeah. I always wanted to find a way to get my course involved within Libyan culture. You know what I mean? Like I always wanted to bring him together because I felt like it had nothing to do with it. But I used to ask my supervisors and I tell them, can this work? Can this work? And they say to me, yeah. And I'm telling you, when I was researching online, I was finding so many articles that people have done previously about similar topics that I've done. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's called. So my title. It was called so how the adoption of vernacular architecture can lead to sustainable households in Libya. That was my dissertation. And so basically I did this whole research and I learned a lot through it. And it's basically the differences within our architecture, east, west, south, Damas, from Damas to Ghat, from there to Kufra, from Kufra to Jalu, from Jalu to Ojila, and Derna or Benghazi. And you realize how much hatta fil khums as well. You know what it is? You like when you look at our thing, you sometimes this one thing that just annoys me so much. Libya is like that. Libya, you have the khayma and you have the actual home, like the buildings, like actual buildings. People think when they look at Libya, they just think, oh, barren desert, people live in tents. I swear, our thing is way more than that. That's still part of our makeup, is still a part of our culture, but there's so much more to that than just a tent and a camel. You have so much more. Like when you look at the details within, just go to Medina Qadima and look at the details of the houses. You'd be shocked. You'd be surprised. The tile work, the pillars, everything. You think to yourself, why is no one talking about it? Why is no one taking care of these buildings? But yeah, you realize the difference between how like Damas, how they built the homes in Damas, how they built them, how they dezneg in Damas, they have these like holes at the top of on the roofs of the streets, and how they bring the air in to cool down the whole neighborhood. The whole area is cooled down using
natural
local
air
materials.
Right.
Yeah, natural air, local materials. You know, the day that Libyans stopped using their traditional architecture is the day we started using too much mukayefat and I swear if we go back to our traditional architecture, we will reduce the problem, the electricity problem. We will reduce it. I personally believe that we will. You know what I mean? Libya, for the population, we consume. I believe I remember doing I found a statistic about it. We're like 12th in the whole world for using the most. We consume the most energy, and we're only 6 million. For كل دار في مكيف. And all the bricks we're using, they're not even locally made. It doesn't even go with our it doesn't go with our climate. It doesn't go with our atmosphere. You know what I mean? There's nothing about it that goes with it. But if you go back to a design that has a courtyard in the middle, I'm not saying go back to some 1600s home. I didn't say that, but bring in and try to adapt features of traditional Libyan architecture within our homes today, and watch the difference. Watch the difference. There's someone who did like a survey, and he went to the Damas and he asked the people who live in the new homes in the Damas compared to the old homes in the Damas, and asked them 2 questions. And he said to them, where do you feel more comfortable? And they said in the old homes. They said, where do you feel more cooler? Where do you feel more relaxed and it feels more cooler? They said in the old homes. Everyone's pointing to the old homes because they realize there's features within the old homes that goes with that with the climate. Using local materials, using the palm trees, using the mud bricks, using all these things around us. It's that's from Rabbi, fam.
Yeah, like, and I feel like they changed what they do. It's because we got more modernized, right? like
yeah,
الناس بدها
definitely.
تسافر وبدها تشوف في يمشوا
Yeah,
لإيطاليا يمشوا لمالطا يمشوا
yeah,
لتركيا يمشوا من عارف وين
yeah.
يشوفوا
Like my
جماعهم
brother, a
دايرين في
Turkish
شام.
home. Hey, المشكلة like a Turkish home is not going to fit in Libya. Trying to
Yeah,
bring architecture that works in the West and try to implement it in Libya is not going to work. No way. Try and
right.
take features from what you like from that, but the main features that keep the house cool and keep the temperature low and keep the house sustainable, keep them. All these little features that you want to add, might add it to it too. But to keep a sustainable home, we need to get back to our traditional architecture. We have to. We have to. It's important. But yeah, you were asking about the differences. There's loads of differences as well. But most of the houses that we're talking about, even on the coast, are very similar. The way they're built are very similar. But
لكن
obviously, when you go to
أكيد الشمال والجنوب أكيد هم اللي مختلفات
yeah,
أكتر. Because
that's where
you
the
have the
massive
south
difference
is
is.
like more desert like, whereas the
Yeah,
north is more on the coast.
exactly. And even there's a way to even build your home for like the desert, for the Ghibli, for the heat, for everything. So when you go, even when just go to Jebel Nafusa, the demos, the homes in Ghurian and the rest of Jebel Nafusa, underground homes.
Oh yeah, I've
You
seen
know,
the pictures of that.
it's outside the temperatures like 35 degrees, 40 degrees. Inside the rooms are like 15,
Yeah,
20. It's so much more cooler.
I
If
think
people just go back to the traditional architecture, trust me, there's a massive difference.
I think I've seen it in, I forget where. It's in Jebel Nafusa.
Yeah,
واحدة I follow on Instagram. She's Amazighiya Jbaliya.
yeah.
I forget from
What's her
where.
name? Wait, I think
Uh,
I know who you're talking about. The girl with the
she's a
best
photographer.
stories. Oh, is it Nada? I
Nada,
think it's
yeah.
Nada. Is it
I
Nada?
believe she went and did she did an Instagram story on like going through the caves and whatnot, and it just looked
Yeah,
like absolutely beautiful. Like, you know, I think it's Cappadocia in Turkey. It's very, very
yeah,
similar to that. Very similar to
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And I don't
yeah. It
see
is.
you
It is.
hardly ever, like, if you go Google it on, like, if you go Google it, you're not going to find any pictures on Google Images.
You're gonna find one, and you're gonna find a picture, and the picture's gonna have like a broken vase in it. Like it's the worst. Like it's the worst picture ever, and the picture's like from 2003. I'm telling you, it's like the worst pictures ever. But definitely, trust me. Even if we just take care of these buildings that we have now, especially these old buildings, we need to focus. Talking about
Right.
these
Rebuilding, like,
historic buildings.
focus on, yeah.
Yeah, we
What is it
need
called? When you preserve history,
restore,
restoration
restore.
بالضبط.
Yeah, not even refurbishment, restoration, and you
ما
take care of
عندناش
these.
احنا اصلا ministry for restoration.
Yeah, we really don't. And the thing is, these buildings are actually protected by the government. They're actually protected by people, but obviously no one's enforcing the law, so people are just taking advantage. You know what I
Right.
mean? Have you seen what they done to the Ghazala?
لا لا
شوف شو دايرين الغزالة.
لا.
دايرين صينية bro. دايرين صينية محولين الغزالة ودايرين صينية وباخين مية. شنو هذا؟ I mean
اوه عرفت والله لا عرفتها. Yeah, I saw
ناس
someone
دايرين
make a
جوك
meme
لما
of it.
واحد ياكل في البنزين
Yeah, I seen the memes.
yeah, there's bad memes about it. You see that? That's sad. That is so sad.
It's modernization. I think that's what ruined that, you know?
Nah, it's not. I wouldn't even just say it's modernization. I would say it's a lack of, how do I say this? It's like a lack of understanding of our history and culture. Like I always feel like, it is. I'm not just to generalize or anything, but I always get that sense like people don't feel like, even they look at Libda, you look at Leptis Magna, you look at Shahad. لا هذا مش تاريخنا، هذا تاريخ اليونانيين، تاريخ
Yeah,
الرومان. This is our history.
yeah.
This is our history, bro. Like the people who made these things were native Libyans. Yes, the rulers were probably Roman. Even what's his name? Septimus Severus. Is that his name?
I don't even
The
know.
one who was born. He was born in Libda, and he died in Yorkshire. A famous Roman
Roman
emperor
ruler. Right.
was half Libyan. I mean, come on, like our history is so deep, and people need to understand that everything that's made in Libya, like everything that's in Libya, is part of our culture, part of our identity, part of everything. That's why you can't just put Libya onto just in this bracket. You can't. You really can't do that.
There is Libyan historians that I've seen. Like, I feel like the Western world doesn't look into it. It's because
Yeah.
either بالعربي or they don't want to translate it, or they don't want to work towards it. And it's very hard to go to Libya because
Yeah.
even pre 2011, it was very hard to get a Libyan visa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they don't go to Libya and do their research because of how difficult it is to get to the country, and even now more so that it's difficult. You know.
Yeah.
But
No, you know what, bro? Like, bun these Western researchers. Bun these Western researchers. Bro,
there
there's
is
so
Libyan
many.
researchers though.
There's
Is.
so
I've seen
many
it.
of them. Yeah,
Right.
there's so many of them. They just need to be funded more. They need to be helped more. And there's so many of them that constantly, every day, I follow this page called Save Our Libyan History. There's this Libyan guy. They even brought him on Qanat Salam. Every day he talks about a new place where it's been looted, or they've demolished something, and he's always talking about we need to protect these sites, and people are just destroying them, and he's always banging on about it and talking about it. And he's always on. Bro, one time he discovered I think it was in Ain Zara, he discovered this Roman.
Was he the one on Al Jazeera? There was a gentleman on Al Jazeera, نسيت اسمه يعني. والله نسيت اسمه. He spoke on like Libyan history, like he spoke on, in I forget where, the history of olive oil in Libya. I don't know if you've seen that. I'll send it your way.
Oh, wow.
Inshallah.
No, I didn't see that.
I didn't see that. They're making olive oil by hand to this day. I forget where in Libya.
In Tarhuna مسلاتة. That's the main
مسلاتة بالضبط.
Especially when it comes to the olive oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why them man مسلاتة, they live to 150, right? Them man live for ages because everything they make is from the land.
They talk.
Everything they eat is from the land.
بالضبط. For this Libyan historian, he talks about the history of مسلاتة and the history of olive oil within مسلاتة. You know, like you know what? If it wasn't for Al Jazeera, I wouldn't have known about my own history. تخيل?
Yeah, like, it's crazy.
It took Al Jazeera to speak on this for me to understand more about this.
I'm not gonna lie, there's so many good documentaries on Al Jazeera, you know. You're right. There's actually some there is. You come across some good ones, you know. They even had one with this Tisma. I forgot his name. Actually, I've got him as a friend on Facebook. They did an interview with him, and he took him around Medina Qadima. كان لابس بدلة ليبية, لابسها. It was a full black. By the way, let's not stop calling it بدلة عربية, please. Let's call it بدلة ليبية. That's something. Can we stop calling it بدلة عربية?
My bad. I'll change my ad on Instagram. Don't worry.
Oh my God! I just remembered. There was بدلة عربية. Oh my God! You know what? Now you get past.
I'll change it. على خاطرك, I'll change it.
Yeah, please, man. بدلة ليبية, man.
What's something you've learned through your history on Libyan culture? Like, obviously we've spoken on a lot right now, but what's something like that you want to emphasize, or you feel like not many people know it?
There's so much. There is so much. Diversity. We're just diverse. We really are diverse. Before you're quick to judge someone from the way they speak, or quick to judge someone from the way they dress, or the way they do their or the way they do their مش عارف يلبسوا في الكردية
ولا كيف يتكلموا ولا كيف
ياكلوا ولا كيف يدبي وكيف يلبس في شنطة وكيف ياكل وشنو كاله وشنو قصدي. Before you do all these, realize that our country is one of the biggest countries in Africa. You know what I mean? You need to realize how diverse it is from north to south to east to west. We are so diverse, and we should love this diversity, because without it, we just be in a boring country. We just everybody exactly the same. Who would want a country that's everybody exactly the same? Our languages, we have several languages in Libya.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Google مش حتلقى زوز.
You won't. Yeah, you won't.
The Wikipedia page doesn't give us anything.
Oh, I'm on the Wikipedia page. I swear to God, that Wikipedia page, yeah, man. Nah, it doesn't give us no justice. Definitely no justice. And that's why through Vintage Libya, I try my best to highlight the diversity.
I feel like pre-2011, me personally, because yes, I was younger. Then I كنت في الصف السابع لما الثورة بدت. And
I was young as well.
I didn't know anything about like the different cultural groups within Libya.
Yeah.
Like the different Amazigh, the different languages, the different cultures, الطوارق هذا كله. You know, بعدين مرة طلعت في وسط الثورة طلعت غناية من forget where طلعت انشهرت وما فهمت شيء منها. And then I asked my mom, and my mom was like, "Oh, you know your friends Hadikum?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, she's like, "They're Jbaliya. They speak a different language," and then I just, that's when I clocked it. that we have different people. I always thought because they spoke عربي زيني أنا وعندهم أسامي عربية أن هم ليبيين في الأخير زيني زيهم.
It's so crazy. There's actually old men. I remember someone telling me this. He was telling me he knows old people that live in Jebel Nafousa. To this day, they don't even speak Arabic at all.
Yeah, they only were forced to later on in history without going into it. Like before that, like they had
طرسوا ثقافتهم وعاداتهم, their identity, everything was hidden away, and they tried their best to destroy their culture, but they can't. They fully can't. That's the best thing about this, because right now to this day they can speak their language freely. Obviously, there's so many things that need to be changed. It needs to be implemented within. That's the only way to save it.
Right.
The only way to protect it needs to be implemented within the Dastur and within the story.
Inshallah.
Well, within the
there's hope.
The official languages of Libya.
There's definitely hope. Alhamdulillah, right now we're seeing changes slowly. So there is hope for a new Libya.
There is. Do you know what? One thing I tell you as well about vintage Libya, don't expose me to. Wallahi, one thing exposed me to. The amount of creatives there are in Libya. Just Libya alone, by the way.
Right.
There's so many of them. So many artists, so many musicians, so many just different types of people, and they're all creative in their own way. I swear it's crazy.
اللي يدير في العود واللي يدير في
painters.
Yeah.
And people had to, bro, just even making a little macchiato, bro. That's a little art by itself, bro. I'm telling you.
macchiato وكارتا هذه أحلى حاجة.
Shout me when you come to money. Shout me for that. I'll have that on deck. But nah, for real, man. There's so many creative people, and that's one thing that Vintage Libya exposed me. Like, I just saw so many people, and I just thought to myself, wow, we have so much potential. Never mind the people or the Libyan people who live outside of Libya. There's so many of them.
Yeah. And that's what this is all about, right? Like,
exactly.
2018, like, that's when I opened my eyes to like this entire world of Libyan creatives, like جميع أنواع وأشكال يديروا في like everything. There isn't one thing that they don't do. ما شاء الله عليهم ربي يحفظهم كلهم. Everything they do is amazing. Not one thing they put their hands on and they advance and they better themselves. Like ما عدا like صاير لهم مشاكل غادي لكن قاعدين مستمرين على نفس
they continue.
Work. Yeah.
They continue. They don't stop for nothing. I respect them so much. We're out here. We're comfortable. We're privileged out here. They're over there. Alhamdulillah. They're over there in the middle of everything, and they're still creating, and they're still going with it. They're still doing art shows. They're still producing artwork. They're still doing stuff for the youth. It's والله inshallah, I'm telling you. تخيل كان بلاد تحت.
Well, I would see amazing things. You know what? Like the younger generation, they've changed Libya as a whole. There's so many initiatives nowadays. You know, Libyana is now funding Libyan artists. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
They started a project with two Libyan artists that I know, Ayub being one of them, and another one named Big Sino. They made merch together. Like they funded Ayub to make the artwork, and then they sponsored Big Sino. Like it's slowly becoming something totally different. MashaAllah alayhim. Like Libya is becoming a whole new world. When inshallah, with the advancements of different things within the country, it's going to be something we've never seen. Like it's a whole new Libya, especially with this younger generation. Alhamdulillah. You know?
And the best thing is about your platform that you have right now as well. You are featuring these people and you're putting them on.
Inshallah, that's the goal.
Showcasing their skills and their work, and trust me, it's the best thing you've done, mashallah. And inshallah, keep going with it. Inshallah, keep going with it. But real talk, it's exposing us to people that we didn't even know about as well.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody deserves for their artwork.
They deserve recognition. They really do.
Everything they do. Yeah. They do everything for everything. Yeah.
So you feel like your research has changed your perspective on Libya as a whole, pretty much.
It has. It really has. You just realize the thing is, the research, if you want to call it research, like it just doesn't stop. It never stops. Every day I learn something new, and I keep thinking to myself, this country has so much potential. This country is so diverse. Imagine if we just open up tourism in Libya. Imagine. Just imagine the amount of tourism. Like,
زي
Libya
Granada.
wouldn't even, yeah, Libya
Granada in
wouldn't
Spain,
even need
how
nothing.
the Muslim architecture and history,
Yeah,
like enrooted within Andalusia, is still there to
yeah,
this day and preserved. It's opened
exactly.
up Spain to so many Muslims because of the history within that
Yeah,
area.
they make so much money. They make so much money just from Al-Hamra. Just
بالضبط.
from Al-Hamra alone, they make so much money off it.
Right,
And they're not even Muslims. And they've preserved that history and that culture. And
right.
they take it on as if it's their own. You know what I
If we
mean?
could do that, بس
If we do that, instead of just labeling everything, oh لا هذه لا حاجات عثمانية هذه فكنا منها. هذه حاجات طليانية فكنا منها. رومانية يونانية لا مش دي. What is Libyan, man? All of this is part of Libya, part of the Libyan culture, part of the Libyan identity. All of it. Because everything was made by Libyans. Everything. All
right.
the even the Italian buildings that people are so quick to wanted to demolish and want to destroy. The people who made them were Libyans. You know what I mean? The laborers were Libyan. Okay, the architect was Italian, but the laborers were Libyan. The people who excavated, lived there, were Libyans.
Because who else is
You know
going
what
to
I
do the
mean?
research if not us, right?
Exactly. The طريق الساحل that connects the north coast of Libya, from Benghazi to Trablus, all of that. Who built that? Libyans. You know what I mean? Libyans built that. I'm telling you, like, we need to realize all of these things is what makes us Libyan. It's all part of our history, part of our culture. We need to start protecting and
Putting more
safeguarding
money
our
into
history.
it.
Yeah, we need to safeguard our history more than anything right now. It's the most important. I know we've got so many other things to care about. I know this is probably like me living outside in the West and talking about this is like, yo, y'all worried about some next things, bro. We've got so many other things to worry about. But like, if we don't talk about it, then when the time thing is all gonna be gone. So it's important to talk about it. I guess we can balance more than one thing. But
Like Allah
the
was
least
saying, the
thing we
thing
can do is
is,
talk and make posts about it. So
right, because the thing is, like Allah was saying, like there's in psychology, there's a bunch of needs that you need to fulfill,
yeah,
and that's not one of them. Because lazim akil, like safety, health, those things are more important to them. Because like
yeah,
because of the things that they're going through at the moment.
yeah. That's
But
true. No, it's absolutely true.
that's why, like, alhamdulillah, we have the privilege on speaking on these things because
Yeah,
alhamdulillah, we have all those things. I don't have to
yeah,
worry that, like, I'm not going to be able to do an assignment or I can't post something because يقص علي الضي ولا ما عنديش
yeah,
تم الرصيد بتاع الانترنت. I don't have to worry
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Like, Allah
Alhamdulillah.
privileged
Yeah,
me
yeah,
with living outside of Libya.
yeah.
They're still doing it in
And
Libya,
most of it,
but we have
self-awareness
more.
is important as well. Realizing
Right.
that you've got these things is important too. As much as you might be involved in this whole thing, or like we want to protect this and want to protect that, but it's important to realize that at the same time, the only reason I can speak about these things freely without worrying about anything else is because I live here.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
I mean, they're still
definitely,
doing it in Libya, but it's not like we are
yeah,
outside.
yeah, exactly. But the thing is, wallahi, even regardless, even in Medina Qadima right now, they're refurbishing and restoring some of the old buildings in the Medina Qadima. They're doing it to this day, right now. So some of them still like are
The
trying
grind
their
don't
best.
stop.
Yeah, the grind don't stop. And the more time as well, they're not even funded by no government. It's all funded by the people who live in the area. You know what I mean? So, inshallah alayhim, I think what are they called? I forgot what they're called. They have a page on Facebook.
Facebook, you lost me. Like if it was a page on Instagram, I definitely remember the name.
I'm telling you, bro, that everything's on Facebook. You'd be surprised. The amount of stuff you find on Facebook is unbelievable. There's so many things on Facebook. But yeah, it's on Facebook. I think it was like Uncle Medina Qadina Brothers or something. It was like I can't remember exactly what it was. But right now, they're doing a lot. They're doing a lot.
What's the
Even
best?
like down, even in the desert. Yeah.
I'll continue on with the Gdamas. I want to hear this.
Oh, you want to hear about it?
Yeah.
Like, they're doing the same thing too. They're trying to restore the old buildings in the Damas too. Ain al Faras and the old Jama and Jama al Atiq and Damas. There's so much restoration projects that take place there, but it's only funded by the locals. There's no pure funding, so it's like restoration that Mesh had. Like
Because
there'll
they
be
don't have
better
enough money to
restoration
do
when the
it.
time,
Yeah.
yeah, when the time is right and we settle and we can, it will come. But it's like meshing hair type of restoration, I guess. Well, they're trying and they're doing their best. It's better than nothing. Yeah.
هذه المشكلة ما فيش
Just
فلوس ما
people
فيش
who genuinely
resources.
care. Yeah, there's no resources, exactly. And the thing is, I'm not gonna lie to you as well, when it's like when it's very important buildings and it's historic buildings, like certain things should be left for experts. You know what I mean? When the time comes, inshallah, well, certain things should be left for experts. We should not be because so many people act like they can restore buildings and touch things that they shouldn't be touching. Like, leave it to the experts, leave it to the people who understand this building and the details of the building and the tiles, the flooring, the roof, the ceiling, everything about it. Should leave it to the professionals. It goes back to the Nafurat al Ghazal about the same thing. That was so annoying. When I saw that, I was so annoyed.
Do you feel like it's because they don't teach that? And like, I don't feel like, at least I don't know personally. I don't know if they teach that in Libya as a major. You know what I mean? Here you can go into school for like.
No, there is. I do believe
there
is. Yeah, no, there is. I think there is. You know, I think there is. I have come across it before. They do. They do teach it. They do.
But just the means of people. It's not, those people aren't the ones doing the restorations. Then
exactly,
that's the problem.
Exactly.
So what's the best? Inshallah, what's the best means of research in order to learn about Libya? Like, where have you found your most, like, is it like you said, the older people, or تلقى في كتب ولا كيف?
Yeah, so it's a mix of both. So, you know what, one place I'd recommend everyone to go to, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name correct, but it's called DARF, DARF Publishers. Those guys what's the word? Like they it's like several editions of these books that they do. Libyan books. So Tripoli the Mysterious, they have that book there. They sell it for like 10 or 15 pounds. Go buy that book. You'll learn so much from there. You see, these type of places, they sell actual books about Libya, Trablus, about the history. There's another one I'd recommend people to read as well, Narrative of a 10 Years Residence at Tripoli, by what's her name? Something Tully. Richard Tully. Oh, it's a guy. I thought it was a woman. But those type of books people should look for and buy. And they should go on their website, our publishers. They have a branch in London. And
they sell books online?
Yeah, they do sell them online as well. For the Journey books as well. Really good place as well. I think for the Journey books, or for the Journey bookstore, is connected to Darth Publishers. I think the two are connected. I think we even made a post about it because someone's relative was the person behind for the Journey books, and we posted it on Your Vintage Libya, which people should check out and read. It's very interesting. But yeah, books online, you'll find them. But searching Libyan book history, trust me, you ain't gonna find nothing because they're not named like that. You know what I mean? You're not gonna find anything. I swear, I've tried it. I've been through it. I've tried to search Libyan book, Libyan history. Nah, none of it comes up. So you just gotta like search specific names, and then there'll be recommendations for other books that will come along with it. The Secret of the Sahara, the Kufra one, that was about this English woman who traveled to Kufra, and she went to see the Sanusi stronghold in both Jarboub and Kufra and surrounding areas. That's a really good book that people should buy too. There's so many. There's Architecture and Tourism in Italian colonial Libya. That's a book I have as well. That's a really good book too. For the ones who are interested in Libyan silver, more time, there's this book called Jebel Jewels of Libya. That was a really good one. Imagine how I found this book. I found it in a Greek library. That's where I found it, online. And the page was already, listen, I'll tell you the struggle. Wallahi, I'll tell you the struggle. No one understands the struggle, yeah? Everything I find is never in English or Arabic. Everything is either in Greek, German, Italian, French, and wallahi, I copy paste the link and I go onto Google, and obviously Google has this automatic translation button, and they just translate the whole page. And I'm putting my card details, thinking, am I going to get finessed or not? Because obviously, when you're doing a page that's not in your language, you're thinking, nah, this man is trying to finesse me. And I bought this book, and after like 2 weeks, the book arrived, and the book is half in Greek and half in English. And it's about this woman who lived in Libya in the 60s, and she collected all this Libyan jewelry, and she made a book about taking she broke it down, every Libyan jewelry piece and what's its name and where it's made and who wears it. And oh my God, there's this book, yeah. What's it called? It's called Libyan Jewelry. Or let me try to find the name. This book is getting sold for £200 or more online, and it was published in the 90s, and they never made another copy. What's it called? It's called Libyan Jewelry, a journey through symbols. That book, for anyone who's interested in Libyan jewelry, that is a book with so much details. It breaks down every Libyan jewelry piece, the name, the origin. They don't even know, by the way, most of these Libyan jewelry symbols that we have even within our culture. I know people say to me, oh, nothing, what's the word people will say? What's the word people will say when they say to you, Khmeisa, or like Tabain, or
You're asking the wrong guy.
It's all these men come from everyone comes from my neck. I swear to God, when I put it on Vintage Libya and I make a post and he's like, oh, astaghfirullah, brother, you're here promoting what did he say?
Shirk.
Shirk, eh? He goes, I'm just trying to share a little post about our culture, man. Take it easy. The thing is, these symbols, they date back, I'm not gonna lie, loads of them date back to even pre-Islamic days. You know what I mean? Like some of them are very, very old. Like so much of our culture dates back to way before them. You'd be surprised. I'm telling you, our history goes back for thousands of years. And to this day, people wear it, and people wear our silver and jewelry to this day, Libyan women. And it's origin goes back for thousands of years. Yeah, people don't know. It's deep. Our history is deep. It's so deep. But yeah, that book that I told you about, that one is mad expensive, but the details within it is unbelievable. To this day, I'm still trying to find it. I found some person put it on like on a Facebook page and just pictures of it. The details were unbelievable. It breaks down hallmarks and the date of the hallmarks and who made this. You know, even sometimes when you get a hallmark, you have the hallmark of Tripoli and you have a stamp with the name of the person who made it. So you have a name of like Mohammed or whatever, like Abdurrahman or something. I swear you find the stamps next to it. And it's these jewelry pieces, the people who made them have probably died ages ago. I swear you're carrying things. That's why I like this collective thing, because it's a piece that you're never going to see ever again. And this level of artwork and this level of craftsmanship doesn't exist anymore. It's died out. It doesn't exist anymore. People can't. Because it doesn't
anymore.
That's the sad thing is. But if tourism opened, trust me, the amount of money it'll make is unbelievable. But come on, you be off for Swar, you be off for £1,000. Come on, you're telling me these Libyan guys, if they don't take advantage, and they obviously they wouldn't know, but if people told them and educated them, trust me, you can make so much money of these collectors, these foreign collectors outside in the West. But obviously, I beg you, finesse them too. Don't give them the proper stuff. I swear.
مش حنقول لهم, we'll keep it hush hush ما بيني أنا وياك.
Yeah, fully. We'll start me.
Like ما شاء الله عليك, الله يربي يحفظك. Hopefully the journey continues, because you've like from you right now, I've learned so much. Like imagine if this conversation continues, I feel like there's way more that you've learned.
Trust me, bro. I'm glad that you feel like you've learned something, because I feel like I haven't said anything else. There's anything. Hopefully there was anything benefit from
Libyan jewelry. الهالمارك هذه ما ندريش عليها. I didn't even know there was anything like that. You know?
Yeah.
أنا متوقع like لاقي واحد في ليبيا يشيل لك ويبعت لك. You know? I didn't know there was Western. You know, there's so much to learn. There's so much, like حتى the small little things, like تتعلم هلبة منها. You know?
Yeah, you do. You know, when you just go through the process of buying it, and you go yourself, is even better because you learn from it. And the person who sells them to you has a story behind it as well. Like I bought a Kurdiya there. Kurdiya يسموا فيها في الشرق. يسموا فيها فرم. تعرف, going back to faramin. Wallahi, we have over 5 types of faramin, by the way. 5 types of faramin for both the men and the women.
See that? I didn't know.
You see that? You see, I swear to you, there's so many different types of faramin. There's so many types of jiradi. والجرد والحولي يسموا فيه as well. There's different types of them. There's different types of عندك الطاقية المصراتية. شوف, عندك الطاقية المصراتية دي شورك. الطاقية التجورية, الطاقية so many different types of hats.
My dad's very interested in that kind of stuff. You know, like the differences between you know, one thing I feel like you, a lot of people know probably, but there's a winter jerd and there's a summer jerd.
Oh yes, yes, there
One's
is.
thinner
There is.
and the color is a little like one's
Yeah,
بطاطية وواحدة بيضة
yeah,
وواحدة
yes.
أخف من الثانية.
And I tell you, this is not me being anything. Yeah, I know people gonna say, "Yo, Mo's a mad monarchist," and that, man. Leave me alone. But yo, I tell you, the people who used to rock the summer gel perfectly was the Son of Sia. Go back and look at any picture of the Son of Sia wearing a gel, and it'll be the thin,
Malik Idris's
the
pictures
thin one.
are heat.
Oh, that guy
The
is my
fit pics are
inspiration.
crazy.
Yo, when he comes to wears the barnous and how he wears it, oof. No one's like him when he comes to wearing our stuff. I'm saying like this, you know what I like about it? Besides the whole politics and everything, wallahi, he was just a representation of our culture. He wore our clothing with so much class. You know what I mean? So much class. The way he held it, the way he wore everything, it's just you just think to yourself, wow. That's what I tried to come from.
Instagram page dedicated to his fit pics.
Yo, yeah, for real. He needs a page just for him. I swear. And that might not even be enough.
طلحات
But
قوية.
going back,
That's
one
bro.
thing,
Honestly, there's
yeah,
so many little things that
yeah,
we just need to like just نتعلموها because لو احنا
yeah.
ما تعلمناهاش صغارنا مش حيتعلموا بعدين.
You will.
You know?
Hey, well, if we don't do it, he will. You know, sometimes I even go through it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I have my downs with the page. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm like, you know, what's one thing I find very important, my bro? I'm gonna say this to you. Yeah, is like never turn anything that you like and it's a passion, and it starts feeling like a
Job.
routine. Yeah. So when it comes feeling like a job, allow it. Take a break. You know what I mean? Sometimes I take a break from something for a week or two until I find my feet again, boom, and I get back onto it. You know what I mean? So it's important to take a break from something that you fully like. You know what I mean? But that, just like you said, it's like sometimes when I'm talking about taking a break, why I even said that was because sometimes I sit back to myself and I say to myself, you know what, this is getting a bit jarring. I can't do this no more, man. I've got 1,000 things I'm trying to do in it. Because sometimes I seem like I'm just chilling, kicking back, living life, and just collecting books. I know sometimes it might come up like that. But bro, I've got 1,000 things on my head. I swear that I'm picking up a book, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna read this later on and leave, and I don't even read it because I have 1,000 things I'm trying to do.
عندك مدرسة
But
وعندك ما أعرف شنو هو وعندك
كم
حياتك
حاجة. Yeah,
الشخصية.
there's so many things you're trying to do, but sometimes you sit back and you say to myself, you know what? Nah, this is a passion. And you think to yourself, this is bigger than you. You know what I mean? You think to yourself, if I'm not gonna do this, who's gonna do this? You know
تتعلم
what I
في
mean?
الناس. You know,
Yeah.
because
And you
of
get like sometimes I swear wallahi, sometimes I get like an imposter syndrome. I swear down, I feel like a mad imposter, bro. I feel like, nah, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve what. But sometimes you need to think to yourself, nah, man, I worked for this. I grafted for this. I put this, my places here. So, you know what I mean? You just
the
need to rate
beauty of
yourself.
your
Everyone
page
should rate
is,
themselves in everything they do.
the
Huh?
beauty is you're teaching diaspora Libyans and not even that. تتعلم في ناس اللي like اللي ما يعرفوش شيء على ليبيا. Like الأجانب, I have friends who are not Libyan, of course,
Yeah.
as I am living outside of Libya. And there's only so much history you could teach them from what you've learned, right? From what I've
Yes.
learned myself.
Yes. Sometimes visually, when it's visual pictures, it's so much better for them to learn, by the way.
Exactly. اتعلم
Because, bro,
بالضبط, and it's
yeah,
always in English. So you have like us that are living outside of Libya that have such a wide variety of people يتعلموا في
yeah.
حاجات because of you, you know?
That's the alhamdulillah, wallahi, alhamdulillah. I'm glad that's even possible. You know, wallahi, that's the reason why I even done it like that. Because I was like, I want it to reach to everyone. I swear I get DMs every day. Like, I never knew this is Libyan culture. Wow, Libyan culture is so beautiful. Da-da-da. Obviously, I ain't looking for no verification of them or like the tick from them. They can, but just seeing people coming to see like, oh wow, I'm learning so much from your page and I'm not even Libyan. I'm thinking to myself, wow, we're reaching people who are not even Libyan and they're learning stuff about our culture. It's a good thing as well, because when you deep it with the political situation and how Libya is painted in the media, when you do these type of things, it shows them the flip side of Libya and how Libya is.
The beauty.
Yourself, wow. Yeah, you do, man. You see a completely different side to Libya. Yeah, there's so much more to it. So much.
Allah صحيت Mohammed.
More
I
to it
really
than vintage
appreciate
Libya.
you
Libya's
being
bigger
here
than
today.
vintage Libya, bigger than everything. I appreciate you having me here. I appreciate you even doing this with me, man. I appreciate you.
But now you've deeped my interest in like I got a list. One of my friends is doing her dissertation on Libyan history. I forget what era.
Yeah.
I forget what her topic is, but she gave me a list of books and I'm inshallah gonna look into it.
Bro,
Inshallah.
there's so many books that you should look into. There's so many, like Camels Through Libya, Tripoli the Mysterious, Cave Dwellers and Citrus Growers. That's about the Jewish community in the Ghariyan and Jebel Nafousa. Wells, there's Jews in an Arab land. There's so many books that you can read, and there's loads, and there's Children of Allah. If you ever come, that's a really good book, man. I like me personally. I like to get the first editions, isn't it? So I usually just try to get first edition. I'm not really trying to sell. I'm trying to sell first edition books as well soon. I'm trying to do that soon. I don't know if you saw it on my story. I did like a whole
Yeah.
asking people if they want to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
that or not. Or another thing, the Maluf in Libya. That's a good book too. And who else? Actually, you know what it is? Since we're here talking about what people should, there's this man. People know him. He's called Bin Kato. I'm gonna find his Man, Shallah alayhi, Shallah alayhi. He does so much for the Libyan history, so much for Libyan culture too. Ibn Kato, yeah. So people see him on Twitter too. They've done this little it's a book on Amazon. You can buy it. It's called Lemma. It's spelled as Lamma, and it's like a journal of Libyan studies. I don't know. I've only bought the first one that they published, and it's like the contents are like about Libyan history, the different language practices of young men in Tripoli. What else? It's such a diverse book with so many chapters. Different Libyan historians and researchers are in this book as well. So people should definitely check out Lemma, and yeah, definitely check that one out. Check. You know, you've come across Farashi as well.
I feel like I
on
have.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, mashallah alayha. She does so much research as well. And the Libyan studies that she does, she's got like a whole what's it called? She has a whole she drops articles all the time. And the topics are so interesting that she talks about. Mashallah alayha, she does a really good thing. You know, the whole thing about Libyan deportees, she did one that was very detailed. And she even came to Manchester. She done a what's the word? I can't believe I forgot what the word is.
A paper,
No,
research,
not a paper. No. She
survey,
did when you do up a slideshow and that, what's it called, man?
presentation.
Yeah, presentation. Yo, man, I am stiff with English. Sorry, you know what? What's more time? What's funny? I think people will probably listen to this thinking this guy is rubbish, bro. He doesn't speak.
But there's so many amazing people. Inshallah, we'll have them on here soon. Inshallah.
Inshallah, you will.
Jazakallah khair, Mohammed. I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you talking on this for real.
Nah, man, I appreciate having me on here. Thank you so much, and keep doing what you're doing, mashallah. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep moving forward.
Inshallah.
Blessings, inshallah.
Inshallah. My name is Zahruddin Treki, and this has been a very special episode of Kulna Tuhaf. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu wa ashat Libya harra.